Hi, we're Josh
and Ariel Walmsley,
owners of Green Valley Tree LLC, based in North Windham.
We're proud to sponsor Connecticut East this week and to serve the communities of Windham and New London counties with our tree removal and plant healthcare services.
Visit our website at greenvalleytreeworks.com for a full list of our services or give us a call on 860-234-4041. We look forward to hearing from you.
It's summer and the height of the boating season in Connecticut. So who's looking out for yours and other water users' safety? We're on the front lines with the joint Waterford and East Lyme Police Marine Patrol Unit. Plus, we take a look at other stories making the headlines from around the region. This is Connecticut East This Week. Hello, I'm Brian Scott Smith. As the summer weather heats up, many are heading to the water to cool down and take advantage of the sea breezes. But being on the water can have its dangers too, whether you're in a boat, kayak or on a paddleboard or jet ski. In the Waterford and East Lyme areas of the state, a joint police marine patrol unit helps monitor the local waterways, helping to keep water users safe. I went on the front lines to find out more.
So we're out on the Niantic River with Officer Michael Furman and Officer Stephen Rogers from Waterford PD, the Marine Patrol. Michael, what's unique about the Niantic River when it comes to, just boating and the work that you have to do?
I mean, obviously you got a lot of boating traffic on the river. You have a lot of marinas. You got 3 or 4 on the Niantic side. You have a couple here in Waterford. A lot of homes on the river with docks and boats behind them. And say the Niantic River, all the rivers in the area, gets used the most recreationally, more so than the Thames as far as the recreational aspect. So, we want to be out here making sure everybody's safe and, boating accordingly.
So what's the main sort of like boating season? And just explain to us, what is the importance of your role, the Marine Patrol Unit? The
Marine Patrol Unit, we're available, 12 months out of the year. If we get called out by the Coast Guard or somebody in distress, within the Niantic Bay, Niantic River, off of Waterford, up the Thames, wherever we can assist in the area. That's all year round. But as far as most of our individualized patrols and stuff like that, it would be from Memorial Day through Labor Day. That's where most people are using their boats and, weather dependent. This year, for example, Memorial Day was, pretty much a dud with the weather. So weather is going to dictate it. You still have your gorgeous days into September and October, but it seems like once the kids go back to school, boats are being hauled and docks are being taken out. So,
and then your responsibilities as a marine patrolling unit. Is it, without making it sound too simplistic, you're just basically the police force on the water? So do you do everything that the police force would do, on land?
That's correct. God forbid there was a, boating accident. We're going to go out. We're going to be the first on scene and tend to it. No different, really, than a motor vehicle accident. Disabled boaters in distress, whatever really can occur on land, like you said, that could happen on the water, we're going to go out and assist. We're also going to partner with other agencies, like the Coast Guard stationed in London, or the DEP would come out and assist us as well. And in many cases, depending on, like for boating accidents and stuff like that, they may be the ones who actually ultimately take over the case.
It sounds like a bit of a daft question, but of course, when you break down on land, AAA or somebody comes along and helps you. What happens if you break down on water?
As long as nobody's in distress, we want to give commercial salvage the first opportunity to assist the boater. You have Sea-Tow in the area, you have Boat US. We don't want to interfere with their ways of making money. So as long as the person's not in distress, we want to give the commercial companies the opportunity first to assist them. If they're unable to afford it or whatever it may be, and we have to step in, we can assist getting them to the local, to a haul out or to the local marina, to get them off the water.
And what if there's like a medical emergency? Because accidents happen everywhere. So if somebody has an accident on a boat, I'm assuming that, the call will come out to you, maybe you first, and then what happens after that?
For example, Goshen Fire Department here in Waterford, they also have their own boat. Whether or not they would already be out, or if we were the ones out and we have to, be the first on scene to assist, we may, take that injured person and take them to again, the nearest boat launch or wherever the ambulance could meet us on shore. But if not, they could come out and assist us as well at sea, and we take it from there. So.
And, I mean, you're the captain of the boat today, and there's always, I understand, 2 people on board. So do all, Waterford, and because you do this in collaboration with East Lyme as well, do all officers get a chance to be part of the Marine Patrol unit?
That's correct. So there's captains, and then there's crew members. So here in Waterford, we try to have, once the guys or girls have 3-4 years on, we try to, and they show interest into it. Depending on their experience, they may come to us with already having a boater's license or captain's license. So it kind of makes that initial training a lot easier for us. If not, we get them up to speed and go through some initial training and certify on the boats with us to be able to go out and do the patrols or go out respond to the search and rescue cases or whatnot. That's also, again, like you had mentioned with East Lyme, this boat's actually shared with East Lyme. So some of our patrols, we could have an East Lyme captain, with a Waterford crew member or vice versa. Or if, that emergency call came in and one of the certified members is out on the road, they're going to go lights and sirens to the boat, meet up at the boat, and then go out and assist, that incident or emergency.
One of the things that we were talking about before we started doing the interview is about boat certification. I mean, you can't drive a car on the road unless you've had, quite a bit of training, but it seems that when it comes to boats, that's not quite the same level of training. Is that something that you see as not only a challenge, but maybe something you'd like to see change over time?
In the state of Connecticut, they used to have 2 separate courses for the jet ski operator's license and the boater's license. They actually combined them all into one for the safe boater's license. There's no, it's not like somebody has to go out and drive a boat for a driver's test like you have to with a car. A lot of the experience is going to be really learned on that individuals and their willingness to go out and learn, whether with somebody who already has more experience with them or whatnot, or just kind of taking it as they go. Or, it could be somebody, in the marine trades who has a variety of different captain's licenses out there, everything from operating where they can take, 6 passengers out up to, 60, 80, or if they're running cruise ships or running, ferries. There's a variety of different licenses out there somebody may hold on the water. Those are a lot more advanced than what's expected of just the average boater we're going to, see out here on the Nyack River. It really falls back on that individual's, kind of learning it on their own, or again through somebody to get them up to speed, if you will.
So, as I said, we're traversing the Nyack River today. It's a pretty wide river. What sort of vessels do you see or are allowed to use the Nyack River, and what sort of individual challenges can they pose as well, not only to themselves but maybe to other boaters, etc.? I
mean, on average, you're going to see vessels in the river anywhere from your small kayakers and paddle boarders up to, you could see 60, 70, 80-foot vessels. Those larger vessels are really going to be constrained by, how much water they're drafting and where they're able to navigate in safely in the channels or outside the channels here. But yeah, I would say on average, you're going to see a lot of the smaller boats as we head north from the marinas, like the Documiniums and Port Nyack, which we just passed back here. Most of the vessels you're going to see up in here are the smaller ones, and up to about 30 feet with jet skiers mixed in between, and a lot of, just mainly small boats, plus sailboats and stuff like you see out here.
And things like kayaking and paddle boarding have become very, very popular. The paddle boards seem to be getting even more popular. I'm guessing they cause their own unique challenges because they're smaller, people can fall off more easily. What concerns do you have for people when they use those, or maybe what advice do you have for people who use those?
My advice is on those smaller things, especially always wearing a life jacket. It's been proven that, if you fall in the water, that's your best chance of survival is wearing a life jacket. We also stress the importance of, we hand out these stickers that, if the kayak or paddle board is found floating, that the person's name and contact information is available, so we can call them to see, did that kayak or paddle board just, fall off the dock or drift away from shore, or, was somebody out on it and now they're in the water. We have a search and rescue case. And at that point, the Coast Guard's involved, possible helicopters and all that type of stuff. So the importance of making sure that those smaller vessels are, properly labeled so we can get a hold of somebody. Your typical vessel has standard, Connecticut reg numbers or whatever state they may have, and we're able to look up that registration information just like a vehicle to where we could contact the owner and, help through our investigation. Whereas, again, the smaller ones, if we find them adrift, it can really strain the resources, and we may put a lot of time into something that was, there was never anybody in danger or whatnot.
So apart from being a presence, on the water, it's also education. I mean, you're out there to, give that little bit of extra education to people. That's
our main thing. I mean, people work hard. The boating season here, obviously, in the Northeast is short. They want to get out, they want to enjoy their boats, but we want to make sure they're doing it safely. Again, most of our enforcement, yes, it would be, just educating them, making sure they have enough life jackets for everybody on board, the proper flares and, safety equipment, and that they're operating safely. Obviously, drinking and boating is a main concern with us too, and the things that could lead to. Our overall goals on the water, yes, is for making sure everybody's safe, and then if we need to respond for these incidents like we talked about, we're there to help out.
You come at this with a unique set of skills because apart from being, a very highly qualified police officer, again, we were talking before the interview, you're also a reservist for the Coast Guard. So what got you interested in the whole sort of like maritime thing?
I mean, I've spent my whole life kind of growing up nearby here in Niantic, have a boat right at the Documiniums, which we had just passed back there. Yeah, I mean, it's in my blood, if you will. A lot of fishing and a lot of water sports and stuff over the years, so it just kind of all meshed together to where I am today.
I mean, it also gives you an incredible amount of water-based skills as well, probably more so than many others.
Yeah, and my role here at the police department is, to get the other people up to speed and get the crew members to the level of knowledge to where now they're running the boat and stuff like that.
Let's have a word with Officer Rogers here, Stephen, who's also along today as part of the crew. This is, I believe, your first time sort of like out on patrol. So what got you interested in wanting to be part of the Marine Patrol?
So very similar to what Mike said. I grew up around the water. I never had a boat growing up, but I've been around it. It's a great day. It's nice to get out, but it's also nice to educate people and just continue to improve my skills. Because if I am on patrol and I happen to have that one call on the water, it's nice to be able to be ready for that.
Is it also a case of, so like in your own leisure time, I mean, if you're like on the water, knowing a little bit more about, how to react, how to deal with the challenges that being on the water faces, I'm guessing that's helpful as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, I go out fishing on my kayak every once in a while, so it's good to have both sides of it, knowing the citizen side as well as the patrol side.
And ultimately, I mean, you're a young officer, you've got your full career ahead of you. Is this something that maybe you would ultimately look to have as part of, maybe a promotional thing or something that you would want to do later in your career?
Absolutely. So I have about two and a half years on the job overall. Like you said earlier, this is my first patrol shift doing this. But absolutely, if I could become a captain, that would absolutely help, and then I could pass that along to any newer officer that comes on after me.
Do your friends or your family or just people that you speak to, are they surprised that there is a Marine Patrol unit? Because I don't think people think of the police naturally as being on the water. I mean, I think probably just think about you being in your cars or, around towns, etc. So do they find that a little bit of a surprise when you say, hey, actually, we have a Marine Patrol?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not something that many people would think that we do, but we have a very large set of skills, and absolutely, our job is to help people regardless of where you're at.
And Michael, getting back to you, I mean, in all the years that you've done this, any particular thing that's like, I mean, you've obviously dealt with many, many situations over the years, but there are other one or two situations that stand out in your mind for any particular reason?
I mean, some of the larger cases we've been involved in, people end up in the water and, we're out doing search patterns and it's a multi-agency thing. I mean, you have many police departments in the area, fire departments, again, the Coast Guard, DEP involved, the state police, all working together to resolve the issue. And unfortunately, some of these larger cases, they didn't turn out in the best circumstances. People actually did pass away here, on the Sound. Some of the other larger events too, like the recent visit by President Biden at the Coast Guard Academy. We're out, doing security zones and again working with these other agencies to to assist as necessary. So there's a lot going on out there that we do.
You mentioned about search and rescue as well, which again, I think people instantly think that's just a Coast Guard thing, but of course it isn't, is it?
No, I mean, within the Coast Guard's whole missions and stuff have kind of adapted and changed over the years. I mean, if you look at the amount of these other assets, these other government agencies, the local assets available, there's many cases, like, for example, if somebody fell into the water in Nyack Bay, we're most likely going to be on scene to assist them long before the Coast Guard's there. And that's kind of more what, we're pushing towards it, not only here locally, but throughout the U.S. So, we're part of that change.
When you're out on patrol, I mean, clearly you've got eyes everywhere, you've got the crew, you're looking at things, you've got technology here. I mean, this boat is bristling with up-to-date technology to assist you. What things are you sort of really looking for as well, while you're out on patrol?
Again, we talked about the, people operating their boats while drinking, stuff like that. Safe speeds within the shore. Wakes of vessels. We don't want a vessel coming up here throwing a 4-foot wake and, damaging property. Just general, making our presence known that, to hopefully people are operating safely.
And one of the things we're also talking about is speed limits. Again, on the river, it does have speed limits, but limited, though. Is that correct?
That's correct. So in the channel that we just came out of, vessels got to keep it within 6 miles an hour. As we get up here outside the channel, a few hundred feet off the shore, after that, people are able to go whatever speed they want, unfortunately. Safely, though. So that's stuff that we're looking at to make sure that, they're not going to be cut in front of one another, and they're operating according to, the NAV rules. So
we're out today. It's a Sunday. It seems relatively quiet. I can see actually in the distance there is like a lone jet ski. I mean, I'm guessing jet skis, and we're not trying to malign people who use jet skis, but I'm guessing they can be some of the most challenging, like water users, because just the nature of the vessel they're on.
I mean, jet skis now go, well over 70 miles an hour. People, if they fall off at that speed, they're more likely to be injured or whatnot. Also their distance to stop, or if they cut in front of another boat, that's going to affect the chance of collision and stuff like that. So they do pose kind of a different issue here out in the water.
So one of the other things that you were saying is that COVID has created a new sort of generation of boat owners, because it seems that that's gone through the roof, the applications.
I don't have the exact numbers for you, but it's it was made aware to all the marine agencies that the boat registrations in the state of Connecticut have, whether it was double, triple, but there's a huge increase in the amount of new boat registrations. From what I'm told from like Boats Inc. and Nyack, there's boat engines that are not available, boats on order that they people have ordered and they can't get. There's a huge demand right now. Sounds like with COVID that everybody wants to get out in the water and kind of get away from everybody and enjoy the water.
So it could be a really busy summer.
Yeah, that was what was brought up in some meetings that I attended, and that's what we're expecting.
So, Michael, we're just rounding Millstone Nuclear Power Plant. Explain to us the rules about that, because that's changed, and of course you have to, patrol that, but there's a security, cordon. So explain to us about that.
That's correct. So following 9/11, the Coast Guard put out a security zone around Millstone. They get a lot of calls about kayakers and people fishing from boats inside that security zone. So we got to go out and make contact with the operators and have them move it outside the zone.
And how far out is that zone? Do you know?
I mean, you see these white buoys off our bow, so I'm going to say a few hundred feet. Again, they're and we'll get calls from Millstone Security, on scene, at the plant itself, saying, hey, we got people inside our zone. Can you come out and make contact with them?
And generally, are people quite understanding when you go up to them and say, you just need to come outside?
They are. I mean, it's not like there's a line coming across these buoys, so I mean, it's not always clear to everybody exactly what's going on there, but they usually move out of the zone without incident.
But it's just one extra unique situation here, because obviously there aren't nuclear power stations, that many on the shoreline, are there?
Correct. I mean, the Millstone Power Station's very important to the town of Waterford, and obviously its effect on the sound here.
So you brought up a really valid point about people's reliance, of course, on our smart and our cell phones, which is causing its own issues because when people get into trouble and they're on the water, you're saying that they're starting to use their cell phones and not the old traditional emergencies channels which the Coast Guard would monitor. Correct.
So, originally, and it still is, Channel 16 is the distress channel for the VHF radios for everybody on board, but a lot of the smaller boats and people not marine savvy, if they don't have the radio, they're going to rely on their cell phones. So if there is an issue, most of those 911 calls are going to come through the local dispatch centers, and they're able to take their GPS locations to hopefully give us approximate location of where they're calling from with that distress. So yes, it's kind of changed from everything coming through the Coast Guard stations or the Coast Guard sectors, and it's kind of putting more on the local dispatch and communication centers to take that initial call and then provide that information to the other agencies, including the Coast Guard.
And I suppose the point to make here is that's a dangerous situation just to rely on your cell phone, because you could lose service as against, and the battery could die. I mean, we all have these issues on land, where against if you had maybe an actual proper GPS unit which is made specifically for a boat, that's going to be much more reliable, I assume.
Correct. I mean, the smarter boaters should have primary means of communication and secondary. A lot of boats are going to have 2 VHF radios, and then of course anybody on board most likely is going to have their cell phone with them. Some of the boats that fish further offshore may even have what they call satellite phones that are going to be able to be used at a much greater distance. So yeah, it's important to have all those ways of contacting somebody if there was an issue, and then also the boaters should be making their friends and family well aware of where they were headed, and what they were doing, as far as their plan for the day. So if something did happen, they would, we would know as, responding agencies where to look for them.
This is an American Red Cross blood donation alert. The Red Cross is facing a severe blood shortage and is urging eligible donors of all types to give now and help avoid delays in life-saving medical care for patients this summer. More donations are needed to replenish the blood supply and help address the extraordinary blood needs of hospitals and patients right now. Be a hero to a patient in need. Use the Blood Donor app. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS to make an appointment to help save lives.
It's mulch season, so come and visit Green Valley Tree LLC. We have a variety of colors for all your landscaping needs. Buy as much or as little as you want. Pick it up or we can deliver to your door. Call Green Valley Tree LLC for all your mulch, plant health care, and tree service needs at 860-234-4041 or find us at 577 Boston Post Road, North Windham, Connecticut. We are family owned and fully licensed.
Time now for a look at some of the other stories making the headlines in the region recently. 2 Waterford schools will be opening up in-school health clinics in the new school year in September in partnership with the United Family and Community Services, a local healthcare non-profit. Danielle Kempester is an advanced practice registered nurse and heads up UCFS's school-based centres and says they're not there to replace the school nurse or other services, but to add to them.
A child might go to the nurse and complain of a sore throat the day that he's at school, and the nurse might say, oh, geez, gosh, the back of your throat looks terrible. Mom might need to bring you to the doctors. But hey, if that student is enrolled in the school-based health center, then they can head right over to us and we can be sort of urgent care or the provider where they can see them right at the school.
Jim Sachs is the principal of Clark Lane Middle School, one of the 2 schools in Waterford who will be getting the new clinics, and says apart from being there for the students, it's also to help out parents as well.
Maybe has a parent who's working unusual hours, or maybe a single dad or mom, and they're struggling a bit, may not have access to a pediatrician as the number one thing in their lives. So we are hoping that bringing this to the school give them access to both healthcare and mental health care during the school day, so they would be able to leave their classroom, access this, and then they would return to the classroom, minimal disruption.
UCFS already has 6 other in-school clinics across the region providing both medical care and mental health services to students. The first West Nile virus positive mosquitoes have been reported in the state by the Mosquito Monitoring Program of the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. Dr. Philip Armstrong is with the station and says they detected the virus earlier than usual in mosquitoes trapped on June 21st in the city of Milford.
What is interesting is that we're seeing the virus emerge a little earlier in the season. Typically, West Nile virus first surfaces in July, early to mid-July. So the third week of June is on the early side.
Armstrong says West Nile virus positive mosquitoes have also been detected in nearby New York State and New Jersey, and says if we continue to have record high temperatures throughout summer, it could create ideal conditions for a bad year for the virus across Connecticut. Connecticut residents can get daily updated mosquito information from the station's website at ct.gov/CAES. June 30th marked the 75th anniversary of the formation of the Naval Submarine Medical Research Laboratory at the US subbase in New London. And although much of their research work is for the US submarine force, they have, over the years, helped discover other things that impact all of our lives, as Dr. David Fothergill, the lab's science director, explains.
We were instrumental in providing some of the basic research to show that the international colour orange for optimized visibility during air-sea rescues was the best colour to wear to be seen and picked up.
The lab was also responsible for the creation of the first standardized colour vision test for military personnel back in 1942. It also undertook sleep and performance research in submariners when the US Navy changed to an 18-hour workday on their nuclear submarines. A new year-long exhibit of the lab's work can be seen at the Submarine Force Museum in Groton, and you can find out more about the organisation at their website by searching for Naval Submarine Medical Research Laboratory. In the day this week, problems with submarine parts failing faster than predicted could lead to more work for private shipyards such as Electric Boat. Recently, US Navy officials informed the Senate Armed Services Committee that parts on their 48 Virginia-class fast attack submarines have been failing more quickly than predicted, according to media reports. Some of those parts had been expected to last the lifetime of the submarine. Workers in public Navy yards have had to borrow parts from submarines arriving for maintenance, which is causing delays in repairing them, according to the Navy. The problems, though, could actually benefit private yards like Electric Boat because the Navy yards cannot keep up with the work, said Congressman Joe Courtney. In the Norwich Bulletin this week, as recreational use of marijuana became legal on July 1st, Brian Langevin, co-owner of Green Valley Glass in Putnam and Colchester, said there's been movement in glass smoking supplies. There was initial shock to the public, but it's leveled out a bit, Langevin said. In Connecticut, recreational marijuana is now legal for people 21 and older, with retail sales coming in 2022 and personal use growing in 2023. While some business, such as hemp growers and those selling CBD and smoking supplies, are considering getting into recreational marijuana, they see at least some potential for their current products. In the Middletown Press, an attorney representing a parental rights nonprofit and families of University of Connecticut students is threatening a lawsuit if the school doesn't lift its COVID-19 vaccination requirement. Attorney Ryan P. McLean announced the intention to bring legal action against the school if the policy is not changed in a letter to outgoing University President Thomas Katsoulis and interim University President Andrew Aguinobi. In the June 24th letter, McLean said he represents the Family Freedom Endeavour and dozens of UConn students and their families, as well as families of students at other schools across New England and the US. He urged the university to withdraw its mandate for all students to be vaccinated, citing the lack of US Food and Drug Administration approval. That's all from us for this edition. Do send us your questions and story ideas to the show via our website at connecticut-east.com or Facebook or Twitter at Connecticut East and on Instagram at Connecticut East This Week, where you can also listen to the show again on demand. And please like, follow and share on your social media platforms too. I'm Brian Scott Smith. Thank you for listening.